Los Angeles, I'm and most Hollywood nights. She goes to California, oh, California.
What you say about Los Angeles?
LA got the people saying,
You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy, the show that talks 100% LA Galaxy soccer. We're glad you could join us. Now it's time to sit back and relax as your hosts navigate through the twisting, turning, but never boring world of the five-time MLS Cup champion, LA Galaxy.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Coming to you on Thursday, April 14th. LA Galaxy getting ready for a trip to Chicago, as a matter of fact. Left this afternoon, winging it to the Windy City. They'll be playing against Chicago on Saturday. We're going to get you ready for that game. Also, live show coming up that Saturday at the watch party, at the block party that is happening for the LA Galaxy. That is the LA Galaxy Soccer Complex. We're going to talk a little bit about that as well. Get you cleaned up on some LA Galaxy news, including LA Galaxy versus Chivas. Didn't that game just happen? No, it's coming up. SoFi Stadium. We're going to talk a little bit about that one as well, and whether or not we're all going to get murdered. All right, I think that about does it. We're ready to rock and roll. Joining us today from the Texas capital of Corner of the Galaxy, it is Mr. Eric, the Portuguese Hammer Vieira. Eric, how's it going, bud?
It's going very well over here in COG Studios. I was going to say west, but it's not really west. It's east. It's east. So
it's like southwest.
I'm going to say COG Studios Central.
Okay, I can deal with that.
And I was going to say Central America, but that's not right either. There's other implications. Yeah,
it is Central of America, of the North America. No, not even North America. No, it really isn't. No, no.
I'm in Texas.
Scrap that one. Yeah, you're in Hey, everybody, I'm in Texas.
Hey, y'all. All right. Welcome. Good afternoon. Good evening.
How are you doing? Doing good?
I'm hanging in there. This week, usually I'm the one traveling for work. This week, my wife was traveling for work. And then tomorrow is not a school night for my kids. They have the day off. So normally when I record, it's 10 p.m. Central Time. The kids are usually already in bed. It's easy. It's easy transition. Tonight, we let them stay up a little bit later. It was a little bit harder. It was kind of rushing. I didn't think I was going to be able to go live. But you saw the computer fall apart and go wild. So it's these little minor miracles that we figure it out. And I'm here, happy to be here, and excited to talk LA Galaxy soccer. We have a game this weekend.
Yes, that's exciting.
We had a big game last weekend, so exciting times. Exciting times all around.
Maybe the universe is trying to tell us that we're not supposed to record tonight because my dog decided to pee on the carpet beside me 20, 30 minutes before this was all happening. So I was in here with the vacuum, trying not to make too much noise because, of course, my son is sleeping.
Yeah, one of my dogs threw up before I went on. There's something's off. Something's off in the universe. We take no responsibility to what happens on today's live show.
It was that Japanese dragon egg that popped open. This is the results of that. You saw that. You heard about that,
I heard about that. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't open it. Yeah. I don't like where this is going.
I don't know.
How are you other than that?
I'm fine. We're hanging in there. We're going to do it. I'm a little stressed because we do have the live show on Saturday. I did buy a large wagon to cart all my stuff in, and then I filled up that wagon with one trip. I was like, oh, this will be enough to handle all my stuff, and I filled up the wagon literally with 4 things. I'm like, well, I'm going to have to make multiple trips now. This is not going to be as good as it is. So I wanted to give everybody a heads up, though. Again, just a reminder, the LA Galaxy hosting a block party at the LA Galaxy Sports Complex in Torrance. These are the fields the LA Galaxy saved when the state of California decided it had to charge the city of Torrance full cost or full price for these soccer fields. The LA Galaxy went there and actually paid the cost and are doing the whole thing there. So they revamped the fields. They've been completely redone, and they're having a block party there that includes a viewing party, ribbon cutting ceremony, youth clinics, that type of thing. everything. And, of course, a COG live show from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. I offered to fly the Hammer out here. I think the Easter Bunny said no. So Hammer's not coming out, but we got myself and the Panda's going to be out there. Christian Miles is going to be there, and hopefully Sophie as well. Although she's getting ready to go to the UK here pretty soon, so we'll see if she can make it. But please come out, enjoy, have fun. I don't know what we're going to talk about the game. We're going to talk about the Galaxy. We got a bunch of really smart people around. Who knows who will walk by that maybe we can interview? Like, I don't know. We're going to wing it and have a good time. So get out there. Hopefully, I ordered a 1-2 Threads hat, Eric. One of the little bucket hats. Did you see their bucket hats that were out there?
I did see their bucket hats. 1-2 Threads, always killing it. Big shout out to him and to them. A couple of them over there, the team over there. The bucket hats look impeccable. I'm gonna order one myself. Where'd you go with? I think I'm gonna go with the 96. What did you
I went with the 96. I went with the 96. So I'm hoping it gets here tomorrow. I know it's shipped. They told me it's shipped. I'm hoping it gets here tomorrow so I can wear it for my bald head doesn't get torched in the sun. Because as I've mentioned before, the COG polos that I ordered won't be here in time. And then the COG pop-up tent that I have, which has custom graphics and all that, won't be here in time either. So we're just going to have to do another live show where we'll be doing all this, right? I mean, that's the answer.
It's just an excuse. Yeah, an excuse to do another one. I've got major FOMO missing out on this one. The first live show that I'm not able to attend. So kind of bummed that I'm going to miss it. But again, you have a more than capable crew. Looks like they're going to be there. So you'll be in good hands, and I'm getting to get my Galaxy reps out tonight. That way, we're not redundant 2 days from now anyway. So it all kind of works out in the wash. But yeah, Easter weekend, I was not going to get the hall pass to fly away this weekend. Yeah,
I understand. One of the things though I want to point out is this show will be recorded. We will put it out afterwards. I don't know how relevant it will be afterwards, but we'll share it with you. But there won't be video for it. It won't be live. I won't be able to stream it live. At least I don't think I'll be able to stream it live. So if I figure out how to do it, then yeah, maybe. But as of right now, no is the answer. So the only way to be there is to, of course, come hang out with us and see what's going on. And then there's a watch party from 5 to 7, basically for the thing. And then there's an LA Galaxy 2 game, which I don't know that people can actually get into. But if you hang around and you sort of go places, sometimes you can get into places you didn't know that you were going to get into. So I'm just saying, think about that. That'll be one of the things. One,
I don't like what you're implying there. But
yes.
Two, I think just the good cause and kind of the story that you've explained several times, kind of how that soccer center is kind of being rebranded and kind of cleaned up and done differently. Great story, a good cause to come out. And if nothing else, you're getting, around other podcast listeners, other Galaxy fans, and getting together to watch the game at the very least. And again, you don't know where this game is going to be streamed or what channel it's going to be on, but it's going to be on at this place. So at the very least, that you're going to be able to watch the game at this location. So that's the exciting part. If nothing else, go for the watch party and for the podcast. It's going to be a good time.
Can we talk about that real quick though? I mean, like who's going to show it? Okay, so an email went out today, not to me and not from the LA Galaxy, but from Spectrum to their news partners around that said, "Hey, we're showing the LA Galaxy game on Saturday." This is what we've been telling you to expect: is that that Spectrum Sportsnet is going to be the LA Galaxy's local broadcast partner this year. We've been waiting for it to get done. I got told yesterday it was still not done. I just want to point that out. That on Wednesday, before a game that was supposed to be on Saturday, they don't have a deal done. Now, that's somewhat secondhand information, so it could have been snaking its way through, and I have a feeling that the fact an email went out at least points to the fact that it could have gotten done or it will be getting done, but I don't know if there's a backup plan for this. They sent out something that said it would be shown on lagalaxy.com. I don't know if that's true, and I don't know if that's going to switch all of a sudden, because all of a sudden they're going to, oh no, it's Spectrum. And then it's going to go to Spectrum. But I know they sent out an email that said it's going to be shown on lagalaxy.com. I would not count on that. I personally, I think this is a ding against the Galaxy, not getting a deal done until this late. They should have something in place already.
It should be clear. The fans should know what's happening 3 days in advance, yeah.
And we don't. And I don't. And I'm fairly well plugged in. I don't know what's going on. And I've been begging for information. So I'm hoping that tomorrow on Friday, they put out an email that says the game is on Spectrum, and that's where you can find it, because that's where it's headed. And I don't know what happens. I mean, I can just, this is the worst case scenario in my head, because I don't know of any backup plans or anything like that, is that all of a sudden, now listen, Chicago is going to be broadcasting this, right?
That's where I was going to go. This makes me think of my younger years when we used to get WGN. That's actually the channel it's going to be on.
Right.
So I watched many an episode of Saved by the Bell after school on WGN. So at the very least, I think you get that feed
Hopefully, maybe.
Hopefully. I mean, if you're at a market, you get it on ESPN Plus. You
Right.
should be able to get it. But obviously, that doesn't do you in Tustin. That's not going to do you any good. So, but I'm sure the Galaxy, the organization, probably has ways around that if they wanted to, show the WGN feed. I figured they would know people who can make adjustments.
I'm not going to say that I have heard instances of VPNs being used, but I'm not going to say that. Okay.
But
so
I also
didn't
will say that with ESPN Plus has it pretty well locked down with the VPN. So that's, unless you've got other methods to get around it, but that's ESPN Plus is pretty good about shutting you out.
Yeah, they're not
even with a VPN.
Yeah, so just we're still expecting Spectrum. We're expecting that to happen. The whole. I can just imagine there's a watch party and they're like, "Oh, we can't show the game because it's not on TV." I don't know what's going to happen.
Adam Serrano is live at Soldier Field. Well, he's going to be Facebook Live it. Yeah, so enjoy watching it. Filmed on my iPhone 12. Yeah.
Oh, my iPhone 7.
Yeah.
It's the
no,
other
he's upgraded.
They're a little behind. Anyway, so that's where we go. I don't want to get too far away from this though, Hammer. Your thoughts on El Trafico and the 2-1 victory and the crazy, wild, wacky way it ended and all that fun stuff.
I'll say that feels like it was 2 months ago. Just the time, how long that took for that game to, with the extra time and everything that went down. And yeah, I haven't been able to recap it officially on the show, but just to kind of recap, I think I summed it up pretty well with just kind of a short tweet. So here's my tweet version: is that the starters played a damn near perfect game, and the subs were just the letdown because to the starters, to their credit, and also goes against them, they put everything out there. They drove themselves into the ground. You even heard the comments, after the game, they said they were dead tired. They gave it everything, but the subs were really the letdown. Costa, Cabral, Kleshin, Depew, Joveljic. Not one of those players came in and made a difference and made the Galaxy better. And that's really unfortunate, especially considering two of those players are DPs. So it was just, it was unfortunate that they weren't able to hold LAFC off. And then, with that whole VAR decision, a lot of people hate VAR, and I think MLS has it right for the most part, the way they do VAR, where, it's kind of, unless it's clear and obvious, you don't overturn it, you go with the call on the field. But I'm team get it right. And at the end of the day, they got the call right at the end. I didn't think it was going to be overturned. I thought, it was going to be one of those too close to call, they don't overturn it. But when they showed it, and it was pretty clear and obvious that there was an error there, so they called it. So I think, it was the right call at the end. I think if we're being honest, that Vela header, and you covered it on Monday with the Panda, that was a closer call. I think whatever the call on the field, you couldn't turn it either way. And so just the fact that it was called on the field off, that's why it stood. And so I think that was a closer call than the end. I think if, LAFC fans are going to gripe about it, they have a better gripe on that. But I also am a believer that it all kind of works out in the wash. We've been burned by VAR at some point, in the past. And so this year we got on the good side of the soccer gods. And I'm sure at some point this season, it's going to go the other way. We're going to get a VAR decision that doesn't go our way and costs us 2, maybe 3 points. And we'll look back and we'll say, hey, that's the way it goes. CSL football, that's the way it is. And then, just it is what it is. But you're happy with the 3 points. You keep that mental edge over LAFC, which I think is huge because, the you can't beat us at home, depending on the way playoffs go and everything's going. It's another year that they have to wait their turn to try to get it done. So regardless of what happens on the other El Trafico this season, they still have that mental edge. And so that was that. So, Chicharito did great. Grandsir did great. I think Efrain Alvarez is someone who we've been pretty critical of, but he's someone who's kind of played himself into, having a role in this team. Maybe it's not, a consistent starting role, but he's kind of forcing the decision on Vanny to kind of make him part of the mix. And whenever a player goes down, like Delgado did, or, if you're having Cabral have the season that he's having so far, Efrain Alvarez is not making the mistakes, and he's doing his job. And, maybe he's not quote unquote living up to the hype, but I think he's really, I want to just give him a shout out for the honorable mention. He's been doing what he's supposed to do, when you look on the other foot, which is, Kevin Cabral, who is not. And I think right now he was benched, and I think rightfully so. And at this point, he has to earn that spot back. He has to come in off the bench and make Vanny, say, okay, this guy needs to be a starter from what he's bringing on the field. But right now, I think that was the right decision. And I don't see him as a regular starter moving forward. If that's the decision that Vanny wanted to make and make him earn that spot, I don't think anyone would fault it. If Julian Araujo's not too big to be put in the doghouse, then I don't think Kevin Cabral should be too big to be put in the doghouse either.
No, I will say that Efrain Alvarez missed two of the bigger chances the LA Galaxy
But
had on the night.
he tripped on one of them. He was in the right position. I'll give him that, which you could say for Cabral, I guess, as well.
Yeah, I mean, the Cabral's shot that he got whenever he was in it was a .37 on unexpected goals just because of the positioning.
Yeah.
And then the ball that bounced out to Efra was almost a 7% chance. It was one of the higher ones of the whole night, and he didn't hit it. And it's that little stuff there that you're like, that was it. You put that ball away, and we've all agreed that that's it.
It's over.
So I think it's interesting, though, just thinking about what LAFC wants, which is to beat the LA Galaxy at home. They now have to hope that the LA Galaxy host a playoff game this year at Dignity Health Sports Park, so that way they can win for the first time in the playoffs. That's their hope, is that they finish below the LA Galaxy, so that way they can then go into Dignity Health Sports Park and beat the Galaxy there. You think that's what they're thinking?
I don't think that's what they want. They want to have the home playoff game, but I'd like to put this argument to rest, because this happens on the head-to-head. The LA Galaxy has the edge on LAFC.
Correct.
And the rebuttal will be, but in the playoffs, LAFC beat you. But in the playoffs, you didn't go anywhere. So you can beat us in the playoffs all day, but if you don't end up doing anything with that win, it means nothing. It's a meaningless victory.
Well,
you knock out of the playoffs. So you went to the Western Conference Finals. Congratulations. Do you hang the banner for that? Do you make rings? Are you making patches? No. At the end of the day, you can say it's technically a more valuable win, but at the end of the day, it was inconsequential. So I don't think that's really an edge. If that's a rebuttal, I don't think that's as valid as some of the crosstown rivals think it is.
Well, and the other thing is that's one playoff game, right? That's been the only playoff game the two have played against each other. And then if you look at how many times how long LAFC has been in the league, and they still haven't beaten the Galaxy at home, that's a big mental thing that's still there. And it's a mental block, and it continues to rise. Just some cleanup from that game. Disciplinary committee came out and said the Los Angeles Football Club has been found in violation of the mass confrontation policy. During the post-match phase of their game against the LA Galaxy, LAFC as well as head coach Steve Cherundolo each have been fined an undisclosed amount for the club's second violation of the league's policy. This is 6 games in, Eric. They've already done it twice. I don't blame them, by the way. I think the Galaxy would have done the same thing in that particular case, and so I think you move on. But I do think that it's crazy that it's 6 games in and they've already been fined after, because you get a warning. Yeah. You get one warning and nobody gets fined, and then after the warning you get fined, and it's 6 games in. They're going to be paying a lot of fines. Yeah. As one LAFC fan tweeted in my general direction, every penny well worth it. I'm like, you were offside twice. It wasn't really worth it.
Yeah,
I mean,
and it's not your money, so
yeah, who cares?
Of course, it's worth it. Worth it for me too. All that DP money we spent on Giovanni Dos Santos, money well spent. Yeah, it's not my money, not my concern.
Flush it down the drain. Flush it down the drain.
Good times. But my only thing to that point, I think there were some yellow cards to the Galaxy, in particular with Chicharito off the bench, and then that same thing with the Portland game that just went off the rails, some yellow cards there. I think the Galaxy, maybe I don't have the numbers in front of me, but the yellow card accumulation, that's something that concerns me, especially when Chicharito, the drop off from Chicharito to our second striker, it's a pretty big drop off. So I'd like to keep him off the warning sheet as much as possible.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, Patrick says benching Cabral now sends a clear message to the entire team that silverware is the objective, and soon. I disagree 100%. I don't think that means that at all. I think it means that Cabral's not played well. Yeah. I think everybody on that team already knows that silverware is important and that winning is important. Trust me, I hear it every day from those guys. In fact, with Chicharito, I would be very happy if Chicharito does not speak for the next couple of games. We have and I would like to point out he was the subject of the press conference call that happened with Chicago, and it was a joint press conference call, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But he was the subject. We didn't request him. That wasn't an LA Galaxy request. That was they're getting over 25,000 tickets sold at Chicago, and it's going to be a big game, and people are asking for it and all this other stuff. That's why he spoke, because and that's why Shaqiri spoke as well, even though he's injured, and we'll talk about that as well. But that's why he spoke. It wasn't like I needed to hear from Chicha again, because that dude is starting to get ticked at everybody. He's like, why do you guys keep asking for me? I'm like,
let's ask him about the national team again. Let's see how he answers that question. But it reminds me of that SNL skit with Chris. Don't make me sing. Don't make me sing. Where someone gets to the piano and she just starts belting it out. I don't think you need to twist Javier's arm very, very hard to get him to talk and to wax poetic. So that's the other side of it also.
But he starts to be snippy with his answers. That's the difference. It's like now he doesn't want to talk, and he was nice to us. He was asked about the national team stuff, and it was asked in Spanish, and I know exactly whenever it gets asked, and I don't speak Spanish. I'm like, oh, that's a national team question. Here it comes. So there was that. Let's go ahead.
To your point, and I tweeted this out earlier, but I'm going to say it again, is that they're going to promote this match as a Shaqiri versus Chicharito, heads up. But I think the real ones will recognize that this is a Jonathan Bornstein versus Sasha Kleshchin rematch, head to head. This is what people really want to see. That Bornstein versus Kleshchin, old Chivas USA, U.S. men's national teams head to head. Those are what the real ones are looking after. So maybe we can get them on the call.
I shared this.
That
with
went
you.
Over like a wet fart on the everybody's like the Skype there.
Who?
Yeah, I'm old. I'm old, guys.
Jonathan Bornstein's, I told you this on Twitter, but this is true. The LA Galaxy, whenever we have press days, order sandwiches from Jonathan Bornstein's parents who own a deli not too far away from Dignity Health Sports Park. And so there's little box lunches that they give us, which, by the way, they never used to do before. And I'm like, is this a new thing? Is it because you guys missed us? Like, why? Why are we getting sandwiches? We used to get nothing, which was fine. Didn't expect anything. And now they give us sandwiches whenever we show up, which is great. Good turkey sandwich, too. So anyway, the deli that they order is from Jonathan Bornstein's family, which I think is just a really kind of like sideways thing, but that nobody would ever know. But now you know. So
it's a nice little Easter egg. I know the families, in the Southern California communities, they're big in the soccer community around town. So yeah, it all adds up. It all makes sense. It's a nice little Easter egg.
You know what is in and around the soccer community in Los Angeles, Eric? This match apparently on August 3rd.
Hey,
was that a good segue?
What
that
a
wasn't bad.
segue. What a guy.
I
thought Easter egg was a good segue, given the holiday and such.
Is. I just thought Easter egg. I didn't realize. LA Galaxy, LAFC, Chivas, and Club America will headline a historic first soccer event at SoFi Stadium in a quote-unquote must-see Leagues Cup showcase August 3rd. I don't know who's saying it's must-see. It's because it's not me. I guarantee it's not me saying
the promoters
must-see.
of the Leagues Cup, that's who.
Now, there is no Leagues Cup this year, right? They sort of canceled that. They said, hey, we're not going to have it. We're just doing the showcase, of which the LA Galaxy didn't qualify for and LAFC didn't qualify for. And it's just these games where the LA Galaxy will play against Chivas, Guadalajara, and then LAFC will play Club America. This will all be at SoFi Stadium. So the first soccer events at SoFi Stadium on Wednesday, August 3rd. Now, I said nice things last podcast. I think it was last podcast, or maybe it was right after whenever it happened, and I haven't talked about it. But the LA Galaxy moved a game on August 3rd. They were going to play Minnesota at home, and it was in between two games. It was between Dallas on July 30th, and I think, who was the other team? I wrote it down. I have it here somewhere. But anyway, they, here it is, August 6th at Sporting Kansas City. So July 30th at FC Dallas and August 6th at Sporting Kansas City. They moved the Minnesota game to June. There were only 2 games in June, and then they added a third one. So I'm like, hey, this is great. You're moving one of your 6 games away from August when it's a very busy month in the hot heat of the summer. And you're going to get, one that's in June where you have a little bit more time, a little bit rest there. You can go and host Minnesota at home. That works. It makes sense. Okay, perfect. Good job. I take all that back because they've filled it in with a money grab game.
Yeah.
Which is what these are. And we have, listen.
That's what I was going to say. Call it what it is. It is a money grab, especially when you think of the Leagues Cup. We can't get away from the Leagues Cup no matter how hard we try. But they want to consistently make it a thing. I think when they had the press release, this is what stood out the most. I'll just read the quote here. It's MLS and Liga MX, which entered a partnership in 2018, rooted in the on-field rivalry as well as the true spirit of collaboration off the field, will pause their respective seasons for 1 month during the 2023 summer to play the Leagues Cup, showcasing the soccer infrastructure and capabilities in the region in the years leading to the 2026 FIFA World Cup and the US, Canada, and Mexico. That's what this is. This is a test run for can SoFi Stadium host big scale international style matches. That's what this is. This was a tune-up match, before the Leagues Cup matches happen in 2023. This is just a warm-up, and that's why it says it's a showcase. It's not, these teams didn't qualify for it. It's a showcase, and I think that's just very telling that we have the 2026 World Cup coming. We know that Chris Klein is involved with the Los Angeles committee to bring, games to Los Angeles, which, you can't have a World Cup in U.S., Canada, and Mexico and not have Los Angeles be one of the key fixtures of those cities. So I think that it's a test run. That's all it is. And then we know the chat's kind of talking about it with, the dimensions of the field. And I think this is where these games in the coming years is where they're going to figure that out.
Yeah. It's interesting. FIFA just got done inspecting SoFi Stadium and said that it's 63 feet too narrow in order to host a FIFA World Cup game. Now, the stadium itself was built for American football. It was always meant, unlike some of the other stadiums where they sort of said, hey, we can fit a soccer stadium. Like Atlanta United. Atlanta gets way too much credit for planning a soccer field inside it because when you look at the sight lines, they're crap from the TV viewing angle, but they fit a soccer stadium in there.
Yeah, also to their attendance credit, also it's like, yeah, you have if that's where you play your home game. Same thing with Charlotte.
Yeah.
You play your games in a football stadium, 50,000, 70,000. Yeah, of course you're going to be able to sell out and get more attendance at those games. When you have a 22,000, a 25,000, obviously that's going to impact it. Just depends on the field that you're going for. So that's the other side of that coin as well.
So anyway, SoFi decided that they didn't even want to do that, which was be like, nah, we're good, we're fine, and they actually we're sort of saying, hey, if it comes to hosting World Cup games, we'll just demolish things. Like they're literally going to go in and be like, okay, well, we'll spend millions of dollars to redo the suites, and there's a lot of the lower level has a lot of suites in it, and I think you'd have to knock those out in order to do it, and those are some money makers, but. I still imagine, and listen, FIFA saying it's 63 feet too narrow. It's not like the field itself is 63 feet too narrow. It's the overall space where the field would be placed is 63 feet too narrow. So when we see this game in August, you will see maybe a slightly less wide field than you're used to seeing. One plus at Dignity Health Sports Park, the field is wide. That's one of the wider fields in the league, and so you're going to see slightly narrower, and then the bench and stuff like that is going to have to be pushed into some areas. Maybe it'll be up into the stands a little bit, like they do at some of the soccer-specific stadiums and that type of thing. So there are going to be ways around this, and I would imagine for these games that they're not going to truck in grass either. So I imagine it's turf. I think that if you want to look for the prototype, it's at Allegiant Stadium in Vegas where they had the Nations League final. It's very similar, the field setup where the corners, it was pretty tight in there, when the corners and when they got to, getting the corner flags and the, sight lines were a little bit off there, but they were able to play a Nations League final and it worked out, so I think you'll definitely be able to play a game there, especially as an exhibition. And like you said, it's a test run. They threw billions of dollars at that stadium. So what's going to be a few million, to redo it, and the benefit that you're going to get from hosting a World Cup game, I think they'll look at that as an investment in that regard. And now you're set up, for future games after the World Cup as well. If you kind of redesign that stadium, I know there's a lot of kind of things around that lower bowl. There's a concert venue and a bunch of different things. So, they got a lot of room to play with over there. Yeah, and, this is, again, a test run, I think, for eventual Traficos to be held at this spot as well. So just, keep that all in mind as you go. Now, the big deal here, though, is that the 4 teams they're picking have very good followings within the countries that they're in, right? Very popular teams.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so there is certainly a question about how that's going to be handled by 4 different bases, fan groups and bases of support that are coming in. Now, in the release, it says that each fan group is going to be given their own section of support, and that you're going to be able to, by the way, LA Galaxy season ticket members, you're going to be given a pre-sale code. I have no idea. What do you think? What do you think the tickets are going to go? How much do you think they're going to charge season ticket members for this? I'm $80.
Yeah, I was going to say double header face value to get in the door.
Right,
I think it's going to be at least 100, 120.
Okay.
So season ticket member discount.
Right. $80.
Between 80 to 100. Yeah.
Okay. I agree that. I think that's what it's going to be. So you can buy tickets for this. Apparently you're going to have your own section, the whole deal. They said they wanted to show that they could host these big soccer games, and they took 4 very volatile fan groups, especially when you get them near each other.
Yeah.
And you're going to test it. This is the test. I don't want to be like the guy in the Ivory Castle type thing, but I'll be up in the press box.
Yeah.
That's where I'll be hanging out. So I'm staying away from the fray. Yeah. To me, I'm nervous that this is going to be a disaster.
Yeah,
and if they don't take security into account, then it's a problem.
Yeah, that's truly the fear. That's the one downside to this is, okay, you can look at this as a positive, this showcase, you finally get to host a soccer game inside a SoFi Stadium. And then you look and you say, you know what, actually, I can see where this can go very, very wrong. And that's because look at the game this past weekend. There needed to be a lot of build up, and videos needed to be created with players asking for peace, and security needed to be protocols needed to be changed the way things had been done in years past, because they had to learn from their mistakes for previous years to kind of fix those things. This is the trial balloon, so they're not going to have anything to base this off of. You can't compare this to an El Trafico. You can't compare this to a friendly, at the Rose Bowl or at the Coliseum. This is a whole new, different thing. So, hopefully their security team and whatever they have going on has something planned, because these are fan bases that don't like each other and that can get violent when they're put in the same place. So you do need to take it into consideration. And if you're trying to showcase it, you want this to be, family friendly, good environment, hosting a, World Cup. This is the kind of environment that you want. You just kind of need to be mindful of that. And I understand kind of the negative attention that I could be saying, but Liga MX also has had some pretty kind of gruesome events as of recently, when you look at the Alas and, Qatar incident that happened there. Not saying that the Guadalajara fans and Club America fans were responsible for that, but that was the same league. And so, that's, the fan base. And again, I'm being delicate with my words here, because I don't want to lump everyone into the same category, because that's not right either. But it's in the back of your mind. It's in the back of your mind that this is the league where that kind of violence happens. So it's just something that you have to take into consideration, at least make a footnote of it.
If you're looking for tickets for this, LA Galaxy season ticket members will be given the chance to purchase tickets. That goes live on Monday, April 18th at 10 a.m. An email will be sent to season ticket members with all the presale information. Tickets for the general public will go on sale Thursday, April 21st at 10 a.m. I was going to say, is this an A-team game? Remember, you're playing between two away games. So you're in Dallas, you come home, you play at SoFi on a Wednesday night, and then you go back to, I think, Sporting Kansas City. It's SKC on August 6th. Between two away games, two difficult games in the heat of the summer in two hot places.
Dallas will be hot, and so that's... I think this is a B team game all the way. I think what they want to do is they want to sell it as, Chicharito playing against his old club. And so you want to market that in that way. But I just don't, if you're taking your league game seriously, and this is just a showcase, an exhibition, whatever it is, you can't have your starters, play more than 30 minutes,
Right.
So, if you do have him go in, make an appearance, smile and wave, and then pull him right off, I don't think you get any value of this. I think you do get your B team. You're, a lot of LA Galaxy 2 guys kind of get their run.
I know who you could call up. You could call up Alex Akala. That's who you could call up.
Now there's a segue.
See? How about that segue? I'm on fire tonight. LA Galaxy U17s and U15s at the GA Cup. You good on the other one? We're good? I know it was a transition.
Oh, yeah, we're good. We ran into ground. I put my foot in my mouth. I blamed the whole fan base for violence. So I'm sure I won't get any pushback on that.
Okay,
so
good. Here we go. The LA Galaxy U17s and U15s were at the GA Cup, Generation Adidas Cup in Frisco, Texas. Hammer, you went to a game for a bit.
I went, had a Costco run planned, and I said, you know what? I'm right by the stadium. I'm going to swing by and check out the Generation Adidas Cup. The U17s were playing at that time, so it was no mistake that I planned my Costco run around that time. But went to go check them out and watch them play. And Alex Akala was one of the players that stood out. He's one of those players, when you watch him, his movement on the ball, you say, this guy's different. And I mean that with no disrespect to any of the other U17 players that were on the field, but whenever Alcala was on the ball, you're like, okay, there's something special. There's something different here. You kind of see the sizzle that's, if you're watching this on YouTube, you see some of the ball movement that he has, and just, the little techers move that he has. The one kind of knock against him, and I guess, this is something you would say is, are you going to be able to do this at the senior level to pull off a lot of these moves? Are you too cute for your own good? But at this level, he's able to get it done. And I think if you look at other players who have gone this path, this is how they played against this age group, because they're able to get away with it. As you get older, obviously he'll mature and he'll be able to, be more direct and maybe not, have as much sizzle there. But at the same token, this is what makes him special. So why get away from this? You don't want to beat this out of him. Keep him going. So he was a player that just stood out as being very special. And it came through in the highlights, there versus Manchester United. So he's a player that I'm looking forward to, seeing what happens. I know he's connected to Manchester City, and I know there's deals that go on. But again, if we're able to get him, at 16, 17, maybe get a G2 and maybe get him, a special appearance against, Chivas de Guadalajara in that August game, that might be something special, for him to get his debut on those colors.
Alex Akala is betrothed to Manchester City. So there's a pre-contract, basically, that whenever he turns 18, Manchester City will have a chance to buy him. And so this was his game against Manchester United's U17s. I think that game ended up going to penalty kicks. The LA Galaxy lost on that. I have the results basically from the GA Cup, and this was given to me by the LA Galaxy. I did not double check it, so I trusted that they knew. The Galaxy U17 side finished with a record of 1 win, 0 losses, and 2 draws in a group featuring Solar SC, Toronto FC, and the Colorado Rapids. After advancing to the round of 16, the Galaxy U17s lost to Manchester United on penalty kicks. The Galaxy U15 side finished 4th, 0-1-2 in a group featuring Toronto FC, Rayados, and Orlando City SC. So that is your LA Galaxy Academy update there. And eventually we're going to have Mike Munoz on here and we can talk some more about that stuff. But just interesting, GA Cup is a huge deal.
Yeah.
Teams from all over the world end up going to the GA Cup, Manchester Uniteds and everybody else in between, right?
Yeah, I think the game happening behind me, I think it was River Plate and Pumas from Mexico. Those academies. I was watching the Galaxy respectfully, but that seemed to be the game to watch. It was, there's some golazos being and some shouting going on around. But that's kind of the cool thing about that event. You have your Manchester United, your Pumas, your River Plate. You have a lot of different teams. Porto was there as well. They had their academies. So that's kind of the cool thing is you're able to see the stars before they're stars. So if you're ever in the North Dallas, North Texas, Frisco area, it's a fun event to check out. The Toyota Soccer, whatever it's called, the Soccer Center. I think it's called Toyota Soccer Center. But just all the infrastructure is there. It's perfect for a youth tournament. So I like the setup. It was a cool thing to see, and then be able to see some future G's. It just made that a little bit more special for me.
The LA Galaxy, in preparation for their game against the Chicago Fire, held a joint press conference. We never do this. That's not a thing that happens, these joint press conferences. It's not like every time, the Galaxy play LAFC, like both teams will hold a media availability. So basically what it was just a Zoom call that had like assigned times to people, right? So it was like... But I liked it. I liked the premise. It was very Champions League. Everyone got their turn to speak, and it gets you hyped up for the game. But the only thing that was curious is like this is going to be a WGN / Spectrum game. So I don't know that it needed the pomp and circumstance of a joint call leading up to it. I like the idea. I don't know if this was the game that you needed to hype up for it. Well, this is some crazy. I mean, what you're going to see on the sidelines, and we'll preview it just a little bit here, is Ezra Hendrickson, obviously a former LA Galaxy player, is the head coach for Chicago. One of his assistant coaches is Junior Gonzalez, who was coaching for LA Galaxy too, not too long ago, earlier this season, right? It was one of those. And then Greg talked a little bit and said whenever we realized that Ezra got the job, we thought we might lose Junior just because they know each other. We knew sort of how that went and how everybody was going to go with that. So it was fun. I was just going to listen in and see like sort of what everybody said, but nobody was asking the question that I want to know, which was how Ezra felt about coaching against some of his former teammates. And if that was something, I thought it was a really interesting angle. So I asked Ezra about it. I said, I wanted to get your thoughts. You're going to be coaching against some former teammates of yours, Kevin Hartman, Dan Kalichman. They said Dave. I said Dan. Dan Kalichman, Greg Vanney. What does it mean to have so many former LA Galaxy players in one spot on both sides of the sidelines? Is it something special for you? And Ezra said the line, which I thought was probably the line of the whole press conference, was he goes, I'm sure Siggy Schmidt is smiling down from heaven right now seeing this because all of us played for him at one point. Kevin and Vanny even played college for him. He goes, that being said, we're friends. We keep in touch. We don't call each other every day, but when we see each other, it's very cordial. And we remember the times together, the good times together. When you play with teammates like that, it's a lasting friendship for a long time. And we have that friendship between us. But when the whistle blows, that goes out the door. We're both trying to win. They're trying to win, and we're trying to win out here. It's all about doing what it takes to win the game. We're at home, and yes, I have some friends on the sideline, on the other sideline, but that doesn't matter once the whistle blows. But off the field, we're very close, and that's something that will go on. I'd say Vanny talked about this as well because he got asked the same question about playing against Ezra, and I felt like Vanny was more warm about it. Ezra seemed actually a little like arm's distance, like he was trying to keep everything like, yes, it means something, but it doesn't. Like we're very cordial with each other. Isn't exactly like Greg goes, yeah, we text each other all the time. Like
he was playing coy. He was playing hard to get. And I think Ezra, who's someone who's been a serial assistant around the league, in particular under Siggy Schmid. He has always been around a lot of MLS Cubs. So to see him, get that opportunity to be the head coach there in Chicago is exciting as an LA Galaxy fan. He's one of my all-time favorite LA Galaxy players. Even see behind me, shout out to Field the Berm, spotted another Easter egg, if we're doing the secret word, but I have my Ezra Hendrickson, 2000 LA Galaxy jersey there, just what he did as a left back, a wing back ahead of his time. He was really a fullback that played forward. He was really incredible. So, to have the Galaxy go up against him, and then with Vanny and Kalichman and just kind of all those connections there with Hartman as well, it is sentimental if you're an LA Galaxy fan. And I thought, Hendrickson, that quote, was really incredible. I think you couldn't have summed it up better, in particular with the fondness that he had for Siggy and that Siggy had for him as well. He was a Siggy guy through and through. He was, followed him to multiple teams as an assistant. So, you could tell, if he's saying that about him, that really means a lot to Ezra. So looking forward to catching him, but hopefully, I wish him no luck this weekend as well.
Greg sort of said the same thing. Let's hear what Greg said whenever he was asked about Ezra.
First, Ezra, first and foremost, wonderful human being. I imagine, I haven't obviously been around him in the coaching environment, but I imagine he's a fantastic man manager, clear in his ideas. It's been good to see him have early success and to get that group at least, stabilized. Obviously with Junior joining him from our club this past year, it's a coaching staff that I'm rooting for. Not this weekend, but in general that I'm rooting for. But I'm sure they'll get things moving, and as they have. As terms of playing, I used to love playing with Ezra. He was in our league, he was one of the first real guys who was a super attacking right back, who would get forward, who was on the weak side, because I was a left back, so I would just look a lot of times, and one of the things that I enjoyed doing was hitting the ball across the field. So the amount of times that I would hit the switch play from my side over to Ezra on the other side, who would be coming around Kobe, was, I don't know, it was so many times. It helped create attacks for us that I loved playing with him. I loved his energy and positivity, but also the way he loved to attack, which I think suited the way I played the game. So I thought we were a good pair, even though we were on opposite sides. So I've been friends with Ezra and still talk with him all the time, when we see each other and in passing. And again, wish him well, not this weekend, but wish him well.
There we go. The not this weekend. Wish him well. Not this weekend. Wish him well.
I was going to say, I promise I didn't listen to that in advance. So I basically mirrored the same things that Vanny said. So it makes me feel good whenever, I agree with Greg Vanny and he agrees with me. So good times.
I will say, I asked Greg about the availability of everyone. I said, did everyone make it out of the game unscathed? Obviously, we saw a bunch of guys cramping up and limping and everything, so you never know if those are injuries or if those are cramps. Greg said everybody made it out all right. There's normal season, just minor things that we manage from guy to guy, but in general, everybody made it out and everybody was in training today, so there's nobody that we're specifically concerned about. So I would imagine that means that everybody's available for selection outside of Villafana and Saldana, I think, are the two long-term injuries that we're kind of tracking. We'll ask on occasion about that. I think Damien was trying to get a Saldana update after the call.
I believe Saldana is in training, correct? So he's not as far removed as Villafana is, right?
He wasn't last time because he had surgery on his ankle, so he was out 6 to 8 weeks, before he would even be back. So I don't know that I don't think he's made an appearance sort of on the field here recently. Okay. So
then I will get back to my Instagram sleuthing. I could have sworn I saw him in the locker room or on the field there, or something.
You may be right. Maybe he's working out inside or something like that. And so he's in the locker room and he's around the guys. Maybe he's out of casts or anything else that is happening. We have not gotten an update on him in a while. It's one of the things that it's easier to do whenever you're in person than it is whenever you're on a Zoom call. I actually got cut short talking to Chicha in this. See, this is what happens whenever you get too many people. This is going to be pertinent for this weekend. There were too many people in my church. Right, it was like a holiday, and there were too many people in my church, and everybody wants to talk to Chicha about the Mexican national team, and I want to talk to him about the mental challenge of coming off of a emotional win,
the letdown game. Mm-hmm.
And how taxing is that? That's the big deal that I think we're trying to watch for in this game, is that you beat LAFC. It's emotional. It was a grind and physically exhausting. We saw that from so many people. So how does that affect you? And Chicha, for his ways and all the things, and listen, he says a million things all the time. He says Let's see, I'm trying to sing. He says, if you want to be a champion and you want to lift trophies, you need to play every single game like the one we just played against El Trafico. Of course, it has a special feeling, emotion, and everything, but it's just an extra kind of thing. The standard should be as high as that game. We need to respect every single team here in MLS, regardless if we're playing at home or away. We need to win every single game. Every single game is a final. I always repeat about it because it's true, and it's the lessons that we learn. We were the only team in a playoff position until the last second of the Salt Lake game. So it's like every game counts. Every sprint, every training, every decision matters, and more if you are an LA Galaxy player. So I hope not, because honestly, I play every single game like if it was a final, because I know every single point, as many points as we can get, is going to put us in a better position regardless of the future that is going to come. It's just you win as many games as you can, even if it's like 34 in the beginning of the season. That should be your aim, and you need to respect every single MLS team as the most complicated obstacle you're going to have in front of you. Chicha spit and fight. Somebody says that when he retires, he can just have a podcast and he doesn't need a host. I do agree with that.
I was going to say, you could relate to that, just being able to just pick up and go and go stream of conscience there. The only, again, he's saying all the right things because he knows how to say all the right things. What's he supposed to say? We're going in, and if we don't win, that's fine. Like we'll be okay. But then there's the other side of the coin. Well, if every match is a final, then no match is a final. If every hit is a home run, then there's no specialness to it. I understand the sentiment and where he's going. You look to win every single game. You're not going into a game to grind out a draw or to get a moral victory where as long as we play well, that's all we're looking for. No, I think he sees what happened last season, and playing well doesn't cut it. You need the points on the board. So I get you need to have that mentality, but also, what's he supposed to say? What's the alternative? He knows how to say the right things.
No baseball references. I'm still mad they pulled Clayton Kershaw whenever he had a perfect game.
Oh, you're that guy?
Oh yeah, because perfect games they happen all the time. Just who cares?
He has some of them, and he's coming off an injury. He's fine.
No. You do. I don't care. You go out and you have your 6 outs away from a perfect game. You're dealing. You're throwing 10 to 12 pitches per inning. You are in the perfect zone. You're not out there laboring. He wasn't laboring.
We want him healthy in October.
Good. So, that'll be real good whenever the Dodgers, for some reason, end up like having a whole bunch of other guys hurt, and it doesn't matter.
All right.
So yes. Anyway,
I like shout out to Wata in the chat. You play to win the game. Yeah, one of the great all-time quotes. Yeah.
You want to talk about the playoffs? I miss it all.
Stuff.
Chicha has a bunch of really interesting questions. The full media call, at least the LA Galaxy side, is up on the YouTube channel, and I don't think I put it on cornerofthegalaxy.com. I think I got sidetracked with writing other stuff and doing other things. But on our YouTube channel, you can go and get that full media call. You can hear Greg, you can hear Chicha, uncut. I leave it all in there, so that way you can enjoy it without having to worry about anybody trying to clip quotes and make it fit within 4 minutes. It doesn't matter. It's as long as it is, and that's it.
That's where I was just going to give you kudos. I think you do an incredible service for the fans. I don't know that benefits, a lot of people, but it benefits the fans who need to go back and want to look at it and give a full picture. Again, for the WGN Sportsnet game, I don't know that it's totally necessary, but if it's there, if you want it, if you need it. So, big shout out to you for providing that for the fan base there.
We talked about it already. LA Galaxy already in Chicago, I think, as we speak. They traveled to Chicago. They will train on the AM on Friday in Chicago, so they'll do that training, and then the game at 5 p.m. Pacific time on Saturday, April 16th. Galaxy will fly back after that game and land at dark 30, I'm sure, at some point whenever they can get back. Although there's a 2-hour difference, so it's not horrible for them. So that's going to be fun to watch, and I'm really interested in the game. It seems interesting. We'll talk about it here in just a second. Your April schedule for the LA Galaxy now going into game number, let's see, 1, 2, 3 of the month, and 3 still left after this because, of course, we have the Open Cup game coming up on April 19th. So that's on Tuesday. Landon Donovan and San Diego Loyal will come up to Dignity Health Sports Park. So I'm of two minds on that game. I'm always get knocked out as soon as possible so we don't have to put any more effort into this because making the playoffs. The playoffs? You want to talk about the playoffs? I figure we should touch all the bases.
Yeah. They are who we thought they were.
So that's part of it, but also people say this. I think they don't quite understand what they're saying, but they're like, "What's the easiest way to the Champions League?" It is. It's these really with single elimination games where depending on the coin flip of home and away determines mostly who's going to win those games. That's the easiest way to the. No, I don't believe that. I don't believe there is an easy way to the Champions League. There's a lot of luck involved in Open Cup getting to the Champions League, so I'll give you that. Yeah. So maybe the Galaxy can be lucky.
It's all about pathways. It's do you get a favorable path where you get a USL team or even an amateur team that you get in those opening rounds, and then depending on where you get seated and where you get placed, that's how it goes. And the same thing with the playoffs, depending on who you catch and who knocks out who. It's all about the favorable draw. Regardless of whether you're going MLS Cup or US Open Cup. Either way, and I agree with you. There is no easy path, especially nowadays with the levels of American League Soccer, and kind of the USLs and the Nices of the world, where there's competitive leagues all the way around, and these teams, especially if you're, I'll ask you this with Chicago, this game coming on Saturday, and then the Loyal game on Tuesday. Do you take this game on Tuesday into consideration?
No.
Or you play your game on Saturday, and so. Do you play the B team? And then if you lose to the Loyal, is that truly a big loss? Because, well, maybe you're playing your B team, your Galaxy 2 guys, so maybe it's not that big of a deal. Or, do you throw your starters out there, especially with the Nashville game, sandwiched right after that? I don't know that I'd put a lot of thought into Tuesday's game. You go to win at Chicago, and then you prepare for Nashville at home, and then whatever happens on Tuesday happens. I don't think you make a big priority of it. And so I know there are people, like you said, who want want silverware. The Galaxy, maybe MLS Cup is a bridge too far, but US Open Cup, if you put all your priority into that, maybe you can win a trophy at the end of the season. But I don't know that's right. Do you really want to put your effort in that? I think Chicharito said it. They missed the playoffs. I think that should be the priority, getting points in your league matches.
Start Joveljic. Everybody else I don't care about. There's a bunch of people on the end of the bench who don't get any minutes. Put those guys in. This is their time to play. So you can get mostly senior team guys who don't get a whole lot of playing time.
This is your Jonathan Klinsmann, your Joveljic. Yeah, I agree with you.
Your Zavaleta.
Yeah, Zavaleta.
Right,
there you go.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Good. I'm glad we got 3 people on the field. That's good. We did a really good job. Nashville coming up, then Salt Lake City to close it out. Yeah, 8 center backs. Somebody said I think they need another center back, like a backup center back. I'm like, no. In May schedule coming up, Austin and another 5-game month there. 6 games now in March, April. That's the month. 6 games now in April. You have a game, obviously here 5 games in May, and then just 3 games in June with 1 being moved. So we've sort of paid attention to that. If you look at the standings right now in the Eastern Conference, it's Philadelphia unbeaten at the top of the Supporters Shield and the Eastern Conference, 16 points so far, playing in the 2nd division of Major League Soccer in the Eastern Conference. Western Conference, LAFC at the top, LA Galaxy 1 point behind. This is going to be an interesting game for the Galaxy, just with Chicago. Chance to possibly jump LAFC as well. So there's stuff on the line here. I'm sure everybody's paying attention to it. Salt Lake, who is the end of the month opponent for the LA Galaxy. Austin, who is the beginning of next month opponent. FC Dallas, Houston, all teams in Texas currently above the playoff line. Nashville just floating barely above that. Just crazy time. Great time to be in Texas, apparently, for now. Give it another couple months.
I was going to say,
let's see.
Yeah, I've seen the tornado warnings. It's not always a great time.
Supporter Shield, as we said, Philadelphia, LAFC, LA Galaxy are your standings. All right, let's get you ready for this game against the Chicago Fire coming up on Saturday. It is a 5 p.m. Pacific time kickoff. TV time is supposed to be 5:08 p.m. We imagine that'll be on Spectrum, or it'll be somewhere. I don't know. Just guess.
WGN. Find your way to watch Chicago cable. Yeah, that's your way in.
Oh, so much fun.
Where'd you get this logo? Look at this logo.
Yeah,
Josh.
I know. So this is the old Chicago Fire. This is from FB Ref. Whenever I go to Football Reference, it was fun. But yeah, I like the old. I like their new logo. It's fine.
It's fine compared to this.
Yeah,
the new one's beautiful. It's impeccable. This was a disaster.
The new one looks like it's Chicago Cubs logo, and they just changed a couple things here or there. So I mean, it's not like they had to really scratch their head off. This, on the other hand, is edgy and new. And look at that fire logo. It looks like a trident of pride. I have no idea.
Are you trolling me? Are you?
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say the video's not on right now. I was like, what's happening right now? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Anyway, in this particular match, LA Galaxy all time against Chicago 24, 15, and 10. This is a long relationship between these two teams. And I have this. And I was sort of looking through this. The LA Galaxy, the last time Chicago beat the LA Galaxy in Chicago was a 3-1 win in 2008. If you want, you can go back even further, which is the last time that Chicago beat the LA Galaxy at Soldier Field, because they used to play at Soldier Field. Then they went out to what Toyota Stadium at one point. It was something else, SeatGeek Park or whatever.
Out in the suburbs of Chicago.
Out in the suburbs. But then they came back. Now they're back in Soldier Field. So the last time Chicago beat the LA Galaxy at Soldier Field was in 2005, a 2-1 win. So it's been a long time, and you actually have to go back, I think, to 2010 to where Chicago was actually beating the LA Galaxy just overall, and that was at a home game against the Galaxy at Home Depot Center, probably then, or StubHub Center, whichever it was at that point. So this is a long rivalry that has happened, but it's also one where the LA Galaxy have been successful, and they don't usually lose these games even when they're in Chicago. I got you your day of weather. 47 degrees is the high, 34 at night. You can expect it being closer to 34 with winds about 10 to 15 miles an hour out of the north as it progresses into the night. Only about a 1 or 2% chance of precipitation, so it should stay dry, but it's gonna be windy and chilly. I guess enjoy that.
Yeah, which I will say, if you do your research, they do call it the Windy City, but it's not the windiest city. It's about, I think it ranks like 20th or something like that. It's not the windiest. It's just one of those silly nicknames. But when you go over those stats, that was what surprised me the most. Also, was Chicago hasn't beaten LA since August 2010, and then if you go to Soldier Field, even further back. Part of it makes me nervous, especially coming, after the rivalry win. It's almost like this is a letdown. Haven't won in, Chicago hasn't beat them in, 10 plus years. Well, it's a glutton for punishment. It's like the bad thing is going to happen. But on the other side of it, sometimes you just think things are like this, and they don't always make sense. When you look at the LA Galaxy with the Vancouver Whitecaps, doesn't matter who the coach is, doesn't matter who the players are, what the lineup is. For whatever reason, they're just unlucky against that particular team, and it could be for whatever reason. Usually when the Galaxy play an East Coast team, it usually doesn't end well. But for whatever reason, against the Chicago Fire, that's in the win column. I remember Zlatan stealing a win over there a couple years ago as well. So Chicago just may be that team where we have their number. And I think back to even Soldier Field. I think Cienfuegos, that early 96 playoff game, that free kick, or that may have been Soldier Field against Chicago, or maybe that was later on. So good times, not 96 because Chicago wasn't in the league, but you know what I mean. Yeah. But still,
they're an expansion team.
It was a memorable moment, an iconic moment in LA Galaxy history. So maybe we just have that magic when it comes to Chicago.
Yeah, it's again, I always love the varying numbers. I always get different numbers depending on which websites you go to about all this stuff. 24 wins for the LA Galaxy, 17 wins for Chicago, 8 draws. So they have 2 in there. I'm sure they were during the shootout era or something like that.
I think that playoff series, it was like a best of 3 playoffs. That was another kind of weird wrinkle on that. And then there was an extra time mini game at the end. I think that's what golden goal.
Yep.
all the boxes were checked when you set up FIFA and you just say which mode are we playing. They just checked all the boxes for that 1998-ish series or 99-ish series for the Galaxy in Chicago.
Galaxy unbeaten 11 straight. That's one you put into. Win 7, drawn 4 with that time. Last win was in 2010. Only one team has had a longer unbeaten run against Chicago in the Fire's MLS history, 13 straight by Toronto from 2015 to 2021. They played each other all the time. Galaxy and Chicago haven't faced off against each other for a little while. The Fire's 5-match unbeaten run to begin the season ended with 1-0 loss against Orlando. That was an interesting game. They got a red card, double yellow to a red, and that ended up taking him down a guy, and Orlando should have won that game 5 or 6-0. It ended up being 1-0 because they couldn't finish. Chicago has a strangely really good defense. We're going to look at some team shape here in a second and sort of maybe explain that a little bit. The Galaxy have won 4 of their first 6 games of the season for the second consecutive year, including the last 2 in a row. They haven't won 3 in a row since a 4-game streak, August to September of 2020. Though this is their 7th 2-game winning streak in that time. That was all last year, was win 2, lose 2, win 2, lose 2, or that type of thing. So hopefully the Galaxy can get their 3rd in a row. The Fire have conceded a joint league low 2 goals this season, despite having an expected goals against value of 7.6. The minus 5.6 difference between goals allowed and XG is the best in MLS this season. So the expected goals have been racking up there. Most of those were against Orlando, I think.
And that's the other thing that I found interesting is they've already played Orlando twice. And so, come on, MLS schedulers, you have a whole 34 game slate. We're only 6 games into the season, and you have 2 games against an opponent already. So it didn't seem like the best scheduling. But at the end of the day, whatever. But they didn't beat Orlando, which this could be a good sign if you're the LA Galaxy. But when you look at the Chicago stats, I remember hearing those same stats about the defense hasn't given up a lot of goals, and I'm thinking, okay, who did they add? And you look at that roster. There's, I don't look at those defenders and they don't strike fear in my heart. So again, maybe that XG says more. Maybe they're due to get scored on, or you could say it's Ezra Hendrickson. Former defender. Maybe he's got something up his sleeve, and they're just well coached and well organized. And give them credit. Maybe they don't need the superstars. It's the organization that's keeping the balls out of the net.
Gaga Slonina is their 17-year-old goalkeeper. This guy's getting a lot of press, a lot of talk about him in the press conference, just in terms of, everybody's talking about how mature he is for his age. Again, not a lot of 17-year-olds are starting elite level matches. He's done a very good job. He actually is tied for the league in shutouts. He has 4 so far. Again, that's that Chicago defense that we've been talking about. And they've been doing a very good job. We talked about Shaqiri. Shaqiri was in this press conference, but he is currently day-to-day with a calf injury. So he's unlikely to play in this game, I think, at this point. Although I wouldn't be surprised if suddenly he's on the bench and thinks that maybe he can come in for a little bit. But we sort of look at how Chicago lined up with Shabilko up front. He's very good. Listen, Shabilko is a legit striker. Yeah,
I was going to say Shaqiri, if he's healthy, you have to keep eyes on him because he's just a game changer. But I think Shabilko he's the one who you're going to need to watch carefully. Given the LA Galaxy's defense this season, I think Shabilko's probably good for a goal in this game.
What are you talking about? They've averaged 1 goal per game. Do you think he's going to get that 1 goal?
He's the guy.
What you're saying?
He's the guy.
I don't know. It just feels like you're like everybody else who's just like wants to badmouth this defense when this defense has done an outstanding job so far this year.
It's the subs. It's when they come in, and they're tired. That's what it is. Starters have done well.
The subs
used to be starters at the beginning of the season. So
the subs did a fine game and a fine job in almost every game except for LAFC game, and that was throw everything at them because we don't have anybody who can really control the rest of this game, and Vanny knew that. Here's the interesting thing: Shaqiri usually lines up in the 10. It was Brandon Gutierrez who was in there, but he got red carded.
Got a red card, which is a big move because he's a big part of their engine in the center as well. So that's another positive in the Galaxy's favor.
So they're going to have to put somebody in there. I don't know who it is. I doubt it's going to be Shaqiri again. He seems like he didn't sound like he was like, oh yeah, I'm playing. He was like, we'll have to see. Whenever you have to say we'll see, there's I don't think you're playing a coy. I think you're like, I'm not ready.
Yeah, I think they should do it like a Manning cast, have they do for Monday Night Football, and just have Shaqiri and Douglas Costa just sit there, massaging their calves and hamstrings on the sideline, in case.
That's what it should be. When we look at the team shape, it's again in this Orlando game, you can sort of see how condensed Chicago can be, very much within the penalty box, right? So the edges of the penalty box, extend that through the center of the field. That's that condensed area where they're able to control the center of the field. It's something the Galaxy do pretty well. It's something they didn't do well against LAFC. Mark Delgado obviously back for this game. That's going to help the Galaxy control the midfield in this game. I'm not overly concerned about that midfield balance, but I did see times where Orlando, and certainly in the Orlando game, you throw it out because they were playing against 10, but there is space in behind this defense. And I think that if you're looking for somebody to be able to rock them to sleep, possibly you look at somebody like Chicharito who can move enough to confuse this back line. It's funny, whenever Shaqiri does play, they had him pulled out, especially in this game. This is when Chicago played Dallas. This was a 0-0 game. But Shaqiri at the 10 was pulled all the way out to the right. And so there's this condensed sort of center package that Chicago has. And then Shaqiri, a lot like Victor Vasquez, by the way, pulls out to one side and attacks from one side. So that was his. And
that's where he's dangerous and where he's been dangerous historically over his career. Yeah, is doing that.
And it's interesting because I wanted to go back and see what happened again, so I grabbed another one to sort of see. And when he stays compact in this, and this was just Chicago versus SKC game, whenever he stays in the center, they scored 3 goals in this game. One of them, listen, Sporting Kansas City has been a bit of a train wreck so far with Johnny Russell wanting to fight fans and all sorts of fun stuff that's going on there. Peter Vermees has a little bit of a headache for himself right now, just the way that Sporting Kansas City has started. But they scored 3 goals against SKC. One of those was a penalty kick. That was the one Shaqiri scored. But when he stays more central, you can see the shape actually probably improves a little bit just in terms of how it is. I get what you're saying. He's more, but he's more disconnected.
I'm saying historically, as with the international and what he's done in the past, I think for what Chicago needs him to do, I understand what you're saying as well, where, they need him to they need a playmaker. He doesn't have someone to set him up. He needs to be the guy to set other people up. So I understand what you're saying. It's unfortunate about my other favorite, Johnny Russell and Peter Vermees. I think maybe that dynasty is on the end.
What do you do with that though? It's not like you can fire like Peter Vermees. He's got to just take over as president.
I think Vermees is the type of guy. We're way off the rails here.
Yes.
He's the type of guy who would say when it's not working, he's just going to walk away. I could picture him just saying, "Forget it, I'm done.
He tips his
I'm
hat
walking away." Yeah,
and just walks into the sunset.
I'm not going to stay here and tarnish anything else. I'm just walking away.
Anyway, so I mean, listen, this Chicago offense doesn't necessarily worry me. I've watched them play. I don't think that they do anything special. Shabilko is a very good player, but it's not like he's a magic man. He's not. He does things that
he needs the service.
He needs the service, and he does a lot of things that you can stay in front of him with. Some of the goals he scored, certainly, I think I watched some of them and I was like, there was some luck involved in some of these, and that's fine too. But I'm not overly concerned by Chicago's offense. The defense for me, just because they've been so stingy, is interesting. I think that if you are able to crack them open, if you are able to score early, which the LA Galaxy have scored first in 5 of their 6 games, score first, make them attack, make them be on the front foot. That's outside of their comfort zone right now. They're more of a counter-react team that's very, very compact. They do not take a lot of chances going forward. So that's sort of the thing. The Galaxy has struggled with low block teams, though.
Yeah,
you look at Orlando and Seattle, whenever they played low blocks, there was a problem.
That's what I was going to say is, you get a good feel, with this LA Galaxy team, and even mentioned it, 3 of Chicharito's 5 goals have been in the first 15 minutes. I think in the first 15 minutes is where you see where this Galaxy team stands. They're attacking, they're making chances happen. And if they're able to get an early goal, then I think, the floodgates might open. But if they're not, they get frustrated. You saw it happen, with Charlotte. You saw it happen with Orlando. You can see this Galaxy team get frustrated against a stingy defense as well. But I just look at this roster and I think, well, the Galaxy is going to have the manpower. They're healthy. They're coming off. They're feeling good. I could see them with the ability, to finally have the XG catch up with these Chicago defenders.
Yeah, it feels like it's time for a correction. Now, the Galaxy also had a correction, basically against... I looked at the corrected XG goals for the Galaxy against LAFC. So there's the initial, and then they go back and they correct them for some different things. The Galaxy actually finished with 1.87, so closer to the 2, because at one point we saw 2-1. It was 1.87 to 2.1, so it was actually a lot closer whenever you look at that. So less of an XG differential, which is good because... yes, you want to outperform your XG because that means you're a good team, but you don't want to continuously outperform it because that also means that you're getting quote unquote some luck, right? Whenever this happens. And I think Chicago, and you look at their XG difference, they are way outperforming on the defense, their expected goals against. That eventually catches up to you, as we've seen with the LA Galaxy over the time. So
I was going to say, we're familiar with that story. Last thing I want to tie it back to the chat is shout out to the Commercial Underground. He said he loved Peter Vermees in the movie Small Soldiers.
And again, I don't get that reference. What is it?
Well,
explain it.
It's a movie where the action figures come to life, and so it's basically a kid who has to fight these action figures who have come to life. It's incredible. Again, I talked about my time with WGN watching after school movies. Small Soldiers was in the rotation. It was one of those movies. But if you look at the action figures, Peter Vermees, the likeness to one of those action figures is uncanny. So I just needed to shout that out. That's a fantastic call. Google Peter Vermees and then Google Small Soldiers action figure, and you will be wowed with that reference.
We'll see. This is going to be an interesting game just for starting lineup wise, whether or not you get somebody like Douglas Costa who comes back in and starts, which I think you will. Whether Grant Sear is the starter, which I think he might be, depending on. Again, I'm worried about some of these guys physically from the last game. I know people will tell me they're professional athletes. I don't listen to any of that. I actually pay attention to what's happening on the field and stuff like that. Well, some guys had max effort games against LAFC.
I think the other side of that coin is fair. They're professional athletes, and it's like F1 cars. They put the fuel and everything. They go hard, and then when those things crash into a wall, they crash into a wall. It is what it is. That when you put max effort into a professional athlete's body, that's not the same as us getting on the rowboat or on the Peloton, and putting max effort. It's a different level of max effort. We're talking about doing harm to your body. You're going hard. And so that's the other side of the coin. Yes, they're professional athletes, but they're professional athletes, so they're using that machine to its fullest potential. So that's the other side of that coin.
It's like if you own a Porsche and you drive it on the freeway, you're not. It's different than the guy who drives a Porsche as a race car, right? Like I'm sure that's relatable to everybody, right?
I know. I threw F1.
Everybody has a Porsche.
I've watched 4 seasons of a Netflix show. I understand the F1 reference.
I get F1. I'm a huge F1 fan. Yeah, of course. By the way, great show.
It's fantastic.
There's been so many case studies now about how that launched, the popularity of the sport in the United States, where it hasn't traditionally been popular. Anyway, lots of fun. We'll see how that goes. All right, LA Galaxy versus Chicago Fire. We have 5:38. Looking at this one, Eric. Did you take a look at this, or do I need to? Okay, good.
Did, yeah.
What do you got?
Yes. So Chicago Fire has a slight edge. They are at a 38% chance to win. The Galaxy with a 34% chance to win, 28% chance for a draw. Don't let that get you down, because when you look at the league slate, that is actually the closest differential, that 4%, aside from Portland away at Houston. That's the only one that's closer. It's a 2%, 38 to 36%. Everything else, there's a pretty big gap between the teams. So they have this one actually a lot closer than when you look at other games. So, yes, they're giving Chicago the slight edge there, but I think that's because of the way their defense is played. We talked about XG and how that works in their favor. And I think the home field advantage comes into play as well. So all that to say, I think this might be the Galaxy's first draw of the season. Ooh. I could see them scoring goals, but I could also see them conceding a little bit of a letdown, maybe letting something in at, towards the end, letting Chicago back into it, being dog tired. So I don't know. I could picture this one being a draw.
I could see that. I think if I looked at the MLS website, they had Chicago plus 115 and the Galaxy plus 210. Which to me is like a much wider gap than this 38 and 34%. They're giving Chicago, I think, a lot of credit for what they've done so far. Again, Eastern Conference to me has to prove a lot. You have to go like above and beyond in the Eastern Conference for me to be able to be like, oh yeah, you're good.
Yeah. Because need to show me you're for real. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I don't know that Chicago has done that yet. Just not in the games I watch. Certainly, I think they can be disciplined, but we'll see. So I think the LA Galaxy have a good chance at winning this game. I'm more worried about what the Galaxy do to themselves in this game than I am what Chicago does to them. If the Galaxy can reverse a trend that they've had, which was they have not had good spacing on the last 2 games against Portland and LAFC, both riddled with reasons why that is, but at the same time, their spacing hasn't been good. I don't think they've controlled the midfield very well in the last 2 games as well, and Delgado had a bad game against Portland, got red carded, and then he wasn't there against LAFC, so there's reasons, again, that we can sort of point to this and say why, but I want to see that midfield regain its shape, because I think that's super important. I'd love to see Grandsir start again if he's ready, and if not, I would love to see Cabral out there starting, so that way you can give Grandsir that time to come in off the bench and get that in there. For me, I think Costa is a guy who needs to be on the field for this.
Yeah.
There's been this thing in the back of my head that says that like this is about the time where Greg Vandy goes, "Hey, Jonathan Klinsmann, you get a starting goal," and it's like, come on, it's gonna
I could see that happening, but yeah,
right.
Yeah, especially Bond looked. He came up last week. Yeah, that's not a terrible call. I could see this being one of those games.
I have absolutely no insight into that. I'm just telling you, it's one of those games where you're sort of like, Klinsmann could start this game.
Yeah.
By the way, we got a $20 super chat from Herb, the original sugar daddy himself. Hey Josh, hey Hammer, late to the show. Josh needs more sugar daddies. I agree. Herb, boy, do I agree. The COG private jet maintenance ain't cheap. Yeah, tell me about that. By the way, don't ever buy an airplane. Don't if it flies. What is it? If it flies, if it floats or it drives, you lease it. All right. Now I'm not the cars. I think you should own a car, but don't ever buy a boat. You can rent those. Like you don't need.
My father-in-law has a great one. You know what BOAT stands for? It's about another 1,000. Yeah, every time you need to fix it, it's about another 1,000. Yeah.
Happiest day in a boat owner's life when they buy the boat, when they sell the boat. So there's just a little advice for everybody. But thanks, Herb. We appreciate that. I am working on some things. I am working on a T-shirt design. I'm working on a scarf design. And the Corner of the Galaxy jerseys that you've seen us wear on occasion, I'm working at pricing those out right now as we speak. So we're going to get a pre-sale going, and we're going to get those printed up, and you're going to be able to do what you need to do. And there's going to be some options there, and we're dealing with our friends over at Soccer Warehouse to do that. So we have some stuff coming. Yes, Eric?
To which I will say that is an Adidas quality jersey, long sleeve. The price point, it's not going to. We're not giving away tiddlywinks here. This is something that's going to be high quality. So just want to brace yourself. I know there were some, LAFC fans where price point was a concern, but I just want to say that, the shirt quality, the jersey quality, this is top notch stuff from Soccer Warehouse. So I just want to throw that out there, but if Herb can handle it, then the rest of our listeners can handle it.
Right. I think, so what we're thinking about price point, there's going to be probably a short sleeve option or a long sleeve option. And when we look at that, maybe $60 to $70 is probably going to speak, but that's custom printing and some other things. And then eventually you can take it to Soccer Warehouse. I think they'll even put some numbers on it if you want to do that. That's separate and that type of thing. So anyway, that's what we have. I'm working on all that. So please, reminder, come out to the live show coming up on Saturday. LA Galaxy have a viewing party. They have this block party. It starts at 3 p.m. We will go live 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. Myself, Kevin, Christian, Sophie will be out there ready to talk to you. So we're excited to be doing that. Then we're going to watch the game. Then I have to somehow cover the press conference from that place afterwards, and then maybe go to an LA Galaxy 2 game. It's going to be a good time.
Fun
good
times.
Yeah.
FOMO for me, because I don't get to just, go in and, go in and go out. You actually, bring the wagon, set it up, get everything going. So yeah, I do not envy you on that day. It's going to be a lot of work. So, shout out to Josh, shout out to all the listeners. Go out there, enjoy, listen, show the support so that you're there, that you care about the Galaxy and our beloved podcast. So enjoy, have a good time out there. And to all the co-hosts, best of luck to you.
Thank you for that, Eric. Shout out real quick before we end this. John gave us a $10 super chat, says Vamos COG. And then Anthony gave us a $10 super chat as well, says woohoo, bring on the jerseys. So yes, we're working on all those things. And so we'll hopefully have those done here pretty soon. So glad everybody could join us. Eric, you good? We're done? We're wrapping it up?
I'm good. I'm feeling good. And I there were some shouts for the dramatic preview. The sound doesn't work. We will get those back. Those will come back. Again, I was in preseason form last time I was on. We're going to get it right. We're going to get the production value. So those will be coming back. We're not there yet, but hold tight. We'll bring those back. We'll get those back in shape. I'll be in game shape for those.
You have a record to defend here too. Is whenever you're on the show so far, where the Galaxy have won every game, right?
Thanks. Yeah. So far, I'm 2-0. Let's see. I called a draw. So at the very least, undefeated.
Okay. All right. I like it. Eric, tell people where they can find you. We'll go.
All right. As always, you can find me on Twitter at HammerEV. You could also find me on Instagram at Galaxy Profile. That's Galaxy PROFOUL. And those DMs are always open if you want to give me some game day video suggestions. Always open to more suggestions.
All right. There you go. If you're looking for me on Twitter, it's at JGuesman, JGUESMAN, and of course at Galaxy Podcast. Head on over to cornerofthegalaxy.com. That's where you can find articles about the game coming up in August, the Leagues Cup showcase, and of course all the videos, all the podcasts, all that stuff is right there, cornerofthegalaxy.com. All right. I think that about does it in the chat. Josh wears a large, not an XL. Let's get that right. He's slimming down. He's going to hit 3 million meters on Sunday. So, woohoo, yay for me. I think that does it. For Mr. Eric, the Portuguese Hammer Vieira, I'm Josh Pato Guesman. You've been listening. You've been watching Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Have a great one, everybody.
You've been listening to the Corner of the Galaxy podcast on cornerofthegalaxy.com. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Galaxy Podcast. And be sure to check out and subscribe to iTunes, Stitcher, and Facebook by searching for Corner of the Galaxy. Fans, we thank you for listening, and we ask that you be kind and courteous to your neighbors as you leave the podcast. We thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you again. Until then, I'm Michael Araujo, and on behalf of the entire Corner of the Galaxy crew, goodbye, everybody.